So earlier I asked you, have you ever been lied to, and what does that feel like? I guess most of us, when we've been lied to, we feel angry, right? And we feel duped and tricked. Maybe we even feel a little embarrassed for having bought into the lie. I don't know about you, but I don't like to be lied to. But there's a lot of lies in our world that we buy into. Maybe we're thinking right now, no, I don't. But part of life is weeding through those lies. I want to share with you, some of these lies are our core belief. Part of our core belief. And so when we hear it, we feel embarrassed. I want to share with you kind of a core belief that wreaked havoc in my life. A simple little lie. And lies, the evil in our world gets us with these half-truths. They fail to give us the nuance of what really it means. And we use these half-truths to kind of get by in life. So let me share you what it is, and I know you've heard this before, and maybe it's something you even used, and it was something I believed in for a long time. But try not to be defensive. God will never give you more than you can handle. Have you heard that one? Have you used that? Now, don't be defensive, but just hear me out. Anytime that we learn there's a lie in our life, every time we hear there's a lie in our life, it's good news. It frees us a little bit more. Because I tell you, there are people who live with lies all their life and believe in them. So anytime we discover a lie in our life, congratulations. You've taken another step. And so this lie wreaked havoc in my life. And it wreaked havoc because I kept being overwhelmed with life. And I kept feeling in my life, well, I should be able to handle this. God never gives me more than I can handle. I should be able to handle this. And it kept overwhelming me. I felt like there was something wrong with me because I kept experiencing being overwhelmed by life. And it was a brick wall. I kept banging my head against it. It wasn't working. It was making my life worse. There's some nuances to it. First of all, it's not God, it's life. And the second thing is that life gives me, at least in my life, more than I can handle all the time. I don't know about you, but I am overwhelmed with life all the time. I was saying that to my friend, I was saying that line and butting my head against that wall saying, God, I don't get it, man. God never gives me more than I can handle, but I sure feel overwhelmed. And he said, well, God gives me more than I can handle all the time. And then he gave me the truth. That's why there are other people in this world. Because I can't handle it on my own. But with God's people, I can handle it. We can handle anything with God and God's people. the way he manifests himself in the world. He doesn't cheapen our life. He raises it up and says, we are valuable to one another. And our salvation will only be accomplished with others in our life, not alone. We can only find salvation not only later, but now in our life with others. See that little half-truth that got me? And you know, we have that pithy little line for a reason. Because we see somebody who's suffering, or we're at a funeral, and we just call up those magic words, right? Because it gives us an escape from those people. Oh boy, they look like they're suffering really bad. Well, let me tell you, I got an answer for you. God never gives you more than you can handle. See you later. Because the real tough part, it gets us an excuse to run away. The real tough part is to sit with somebody who's suffering and not have an answer. But to be willing to be there as an image of God, that God is here with you. And I don't have an answer for you right now. I can't tell you why. But I can tell you that God is with you, and I'm going to be here with you. And how many times in my life, that's the secret of my ministry, not having the answer, but willing to be there with them. And being willing to tell them, you know, I can't tell you why this happened in your life. I don't believe it's God that's doing this. But I believe that God is with you, and I'm going to be with you to walk with you in this. I said I was going to give you a couple of lies. So I want to give you the lie that pertains to this gospel. It's a worldly lie. It seems like common sense. Most people live their life on this common sense. And what is the lie? There isn't enough. That's the lie we live with. This is another lie. It may be a core lie in our life. There isn't enough. There isn't enough for you and me. There's enough for me, but there's not enough for you. So we better get what we can for ourselves now. Common sense. And so that's exactly what, if you've fallen for it, don't worry, the apostles fell for it. We hear it today. They bought into the lie. Jesus, we don't have enough for us and the crowd. Dismiss the crowd. Send them away so they can get food for themselves. Right? Common sense. Jesus says, no. Give them some food yourselves. Here again, it's not enough. Well, all we got is this 5 loaves and 2 fish, and that's not even going to be enough for us, Jesus. But they trust Jesus. They give him the bread and the fish. They trust him a little bit. And Jesus shows them something revolutionary. They give what little they have, and they discover a secret. God takes what we have, and he multiplies it. If you try to hold on to it yourself, it disappears. But when you give it away, it multiplies. Enough for me and for you. There is two kingdoms. There is the kingdom of the world, the kingdom of scarcity, and the kingdom that Jesus lives in, the kingdom of abundance. Are you living in the kingdom of scarcity? You know if you're living that way because, and trust me, I've lived this way, because you're living in fear, right? How are you going to get through this day? And it starts over every day the same way. It's a desperate life, right? You can spend your whole life living in the kingdom of scarcity. Or you can trust God. You can let go of your grip. Just let it go a little bit. Can't you just do that? And trust in God to give what we have. Let go of that grip and see what God can do. It seems like a secret that the universe is abundant, but it's as plain as day. God has given this creation to us abundantly. There are 100,000 million stars in a galaxy, in our galaxy. Okay, if you want to do the math, it's 100 billion. And we are one galaxy among 200 billion and counting galaxies. God is abundant. It's all a matter of perspective. You want to look at scarcity and live that way? You can. But I got to tell you, it's a pretty miserable life. If you can just trust, you can enjoy the day. If you can just trust. Give us this day our daily bread. Trust that God will give us our daily bread. Trust it. I'm not saying there isn't famine and hardship. Paul talks that he knows the secret to living in famine. He knows the secret of living in good times, and he knows the secret to living in bad times. And the secret to living in bad times is to trust God. That if you seek and you will find in those bad times, you will find God. And you might have to seek in a lot of people, but eventually you'll find God in someone who will help you and will feed you for the day. The Great Depression is replete with stories of people who shared, who didn't just survive, but thrived in the Great Depression because they didn't live in the kingdom of scarcity. They lived in the kingdom of abundance. Could you imagine if everyone shared how many leftovers there would be? Can you imagine? And even if only a few people share, it can make a world of difference. I know we're kind of looking and we're saying, oh, Jesus says to share, but I'm looking over my shoulder and see if that person's going to go first. Right? I don't know if I can trust that. You go first. But God shows us, even if they don't, it will multiply. Even if you only got 5 loaves and 2 fish and there's 5,000 people, it will be enough. More than enough. share.